Oseo.
Oseo.
Cherokee greeting. Now, just focus on this shield. Awinamayo and we all wane yo yo ne yo. Awinamayo and we all wane yo yo ne yo. Yo yo ne yo 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 ne yo. Awinamayo and we all wane yo yo ne yo. Awinamayo and we all wane yo yo ne yo 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 ne yo 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 ne yo 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 ne yo. I am Coyote, yours truly, and this is Hakia. Why have you come here, blown in by the wind, and arrived here, younger brother, President-elect Joe Biden? Yes, because I have heard that no matter what happens to you, Coyote, you always come back to life. And so, I wonder what that is that protects you so. Maybe it could help my people to know that. Hakia, younger brother, President-elect Joe Biden, blown in by the wind and arrived here. May I ask, what exactly are you going to bring back to your people? Yes, I've been in government for 40 years and have been around the world, and it's about democracy. Its integrity has been the subject of assailant abuse, and yet its principle maintains. My people need to invest their trust in it because democracy exists for our need. I trust in it and I believe it, and that's what I will bring to my people. Hakia, on that, I'll give you my song. Yes, what is your song, Coyote? We all come together and we all sing and dance. We all come together and we all sing and dance. Yo yo ne yo 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 ne yo 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 ne yo. Aha, aha. So sing my song and it'll come true. Hakia! The theme and the subject today begins with, well, we have the winter solstice, right, tomorrow, and current events in the nation, and the terms that have been much in use. Transition, like transition of power, restore, all these kind of things, shift, has been said, and all has changed. So that's where we're all exactly in this. My display here, let me mention, is a layout. And then I want to say this layout, the meaning of doing this, I learned from the curandero, Edward Calderon, who was here as a partner or guest of Doug Sharon, Museum of Man. And so everything here is medicine. So that's, and Eduardo calls it la mesa, the table. So I'm going to start right off with a piece that this is about restoration, and the main character in this is the lizard called Gila Monster. And so the first one, I collected this from Mexico, Alegrate enojado, it means the angry lizard. In the sky, a moon. In your face, a mouth. In the sky, many stars. In your face, only a pair of eyes. Behold me, the angry lizard. My wrath is terrible. Lock yourselves up. I make sparks fly from the eyes. I go about laughing. I come from the flowering patio, and my song is loud. Oh. There we go. So all of these things here are all a way of speaking for one, the restoration, the transformation, the shift, all those things, and the winter solstice. Now the winter solstice, it's been around for a long time, of course, and people have many cultures of that, and some of that is here in my exposition here. And that's the sort of thing that I want to say. And here in the winter solstice, we have this here is a Hopi sun shield. It's a painting, but it's a shield. And just before the winter solstice, I mean, for the actual day, like maybe today, over there in the Hopi mesas, the soil priest, kind of Kachina, and he's going to give this shield with this painting on it to the star priest. And the star priest wears a star on his head, and that would be a star over there, for example, what that would be. And then the star priest is going to go into the kiva, that's an underground club room, like that, and that the members are particularly arranged, you know, in like the four quarters, north, south, east, west, that kind of thing. And he's going to dance around spinning this sun shield. And this is all, you know, to induce the sun to turn around and head back north. The solstice means the sun has stopped still. And, you know, it's an absolute imperative that we get that sun to move from staying there. We don't want to stay there or go any farther south. So, you know, they have a real, you know, emotional feeling in this. So that's what is going on, you know, with this sun shield. After this ceremony has rather completed itself, all of these participants all have what we call prayer sticks. And here, if you can go over here, right here, these are prayer sticks. They're called talking prayer sticks because they have faces on it. And I have mounted them on an antique Hopi plaque. These plaques themselves are figured as sacred objects or sacred beings. And here in an underworld shrine, these prayer sticks are given to Kestrel Girl. Kestrel Girl, she's dressed like, you know, a falcon, a hawk there. And she sits on these prayer sticks to incubate them. Now let me say, the Hopi ancestors have come from, and their culture and some of their language, from ancient Egypt. And the figure in Egypt, called by the Greek name Horus, definitely figures in the Hopi culture, you know, sometimes very explicitly. So in this particular, I'm very fascinated by this particular aspect where Kestrel Girl is in the, called the Shrine of the Underworld, sitting on the prayer sticks in order to incubate them for what we would say, you know, fertilization, that kind of thing. So if you can also go up to this shield up here, this is the shield from Egypt of Sokar. He is the falcon of the underworld. And this is the image that I have for Kestrel Girl in the underground chamber in the Hopi village, incubating that. Now another thing that we're going to have, if we can go over here to this figure here, a snow kachina, snow maiden, anything to that effect, certainly figuring winter. But also, she's carrying a basket of big snowballs, and these snowballs are the cause of, or the generation of, the white rainbows. So these are crystalline rainbows, and they're called white mist comes gliding. And so that is full of spiritual power. That's what all of that means. The whiteness of her and these arcs are all meaning the fertilization of spiritual power. All this is what we're looking at now in the current events with the shift, transition, and we'll get to the restoration. Another aspect of these solstices, if you can go right here to this crystal. Now this is a real crystal. This is from a cave here. And in some of these caves in California and Baja, crystals were employed when you have, I'm kind of call it a cave because some of them are actually big boulders with an empty space or a little room inside, and where there's a hole somewhere in the rock where the sun can shine through that. And some of these, even out here in Anza Borrego, have paintings in them, so we could call them shaman solstice caves. And it's been experimented that using crystals at the right time and right angle, you can cause, prismatic rainbows within that little cave. And this one in particular is actually such a crystal that was given to me from a shaman cave in Baja. The other thing that we're going to talk about is the restoration and the lizard that we're calling Gila monster. Gila monster, the name Gila must be a Pima because it comes from the Pima River, the Gila River in the Pima world of Arizona. So that's how it's got its name, and that way. And it is a very powerful spirit, very powerful being that is figured in this way. And I have here, this is a figure of the Atali. The Navajo, that we're introducing here, the Navajo, the name for the Gila monster is Denali. Denali is that lizard. And all that I'm going to deliver to you has come from the Hatali. And here, this is like an arrowhead, a flint arrowhead. But what it stands for in the ceremony is cutting. In other words, it's not an arrow like penetrating. It means a flint that cuts. Because in the curing ceremony, the patient will be covered with certain strings and tied bunches of herbs and things like that in order to cut these loose, so to cut asunder illnesses and other interferences in the balance and the health of the individual and of the people. So if you can get a close-up of that there. So the Hatali means chanter, and so these are chantways. He is a priest rather than a shaman. A priest meaning a person who specifically has a formula. He's studied, he's learned these formulas. There are many, many of them, and probably in the past even more than we know now. So that's my idea of having this figure here as it is. And then I can go on up to here. This figure up here that I've replicated is a Navajo mask. Now the Navajos have considerable ceremonies with masked impersonators, and these impersonators are usually in action along with the chants and with dry paintings on the floor. And they involve certain myths, and a patient is usually incorporated into this at some time. They're called chants, they're called sings, and so forth. And so the mask impersonator will be, the body of the kinds of energies or even powers that are being summoned to this kind of healing. So it's very much a healing ceremony. And also the stars figure very much into these healing ceremonies and so forth. So the importance of the Hatali and his paraphernalia to this masked impersonator. The English calls this black god, which is difficult to get along with. Hashishasini would kind of more be Sir Black. In other words, the mask itself has a male feature, but the content of it is not male. It would rather mean she who gives birth to blackness. And that's who has been in the major presence since the end of October that we had called Saven until the winter solstice. This is a kind of a timelessness, and people who have departed have now come to be a part of her moving body of blackness. So she's also called Black Body. And here, if you can focus on this here, this would be Black Body. Hard to see. And Black Body is significant in this guise that she informed the deific spirits of the need of humans to have this kind of culture, kind of infused consciousness, as we might call it, into the people, into human people. So that's a necessity for her to be here. Some of the cultures, the ancient Celts for one, had for the winter solstice the new fire ceremony. Other people had it too. In this one, I'm using this. This is a poker, a fire poker that you poke into the fire. The fire pokers are very significant throughout Native America and even take on personified being. And they have different kinds, cedar or pine, hardwood, and so forth. In this one, I'm using it as the igniter for the new fire, for the sun. We're talking about the sun, and wake up the sun, bring it back, get it to turn around. Any of those things is what we're doing here in this. And that's the significance of my having that here. In the piece I'm going to present in a moment, here, what I have is, this represents Big Fly. And Big Fly is the guardian to Nelly, the Gila monster. And this is the tobacco pouch with tobacco in it, and this is the old kind of pipe. And so, however or whoever is going to make the offering to this being or spirit we're calling the Gila monster in order to activate his healing. And so Big Fly is the guardian who then presents the tobacco and the pipe to the person, Gila monster, and when he accepts that and smokes that, then the ceremony can now begin. Now I'm just going to go right through this. This is called the life way, or the chant way, and I learned it, I received it really from the Hatali at a time that I really needed this. And so it really has this import to me and how that it came about. So the figure of the Hatali here is representing that transmission of this life way to me. It's also called Flint Way. Gila monster, who symbolizes the healing power of the medicine man, the Danawasigi, the Flint Way, or Life Way, or the Bijay Way. Big Fly, the door guard for Gila monster, gives instructions for smoke offerings. Gila monster accepts and smokes it. Gila monster's healing is to be cut up, scattered, and reassembled, and he restores everyone in a gathering with a healing ceremony called Rain of Flint. Now this is the chant way as chanted by the Hatali. Restore, Nuadniri, you can focus on this, because that's what it goes with. I cut myself up into little pieces and cast them out upon the dark waters. My blood is gathered by the aniawi, the ant people. The spider people restrung my nerves. The sun restores my eyes, and little wind my ears. The moon reshapes my body, and my long hair by the darkness people. Dawn boy and dawn girl give me my face. My mind is lighted by maternal grandfather and pollen boy, and my traveling means by grasshopper girl. And now, as I am reassembled, holy wind restores my breath. The sun shines on me to restore winking, and the two agate people step over me, and I am revived. This is the wisdom thoughts of the woolly-headed medicine man, Coyote. So all of this is to engender and help real medicine in this time of change and restoration, and that which the president-elect, is definitely bringing himself to bring this about, as if he is the agent that can help to make this happening. And here in Coyote's Creation Lodge, we here are, as a collective, creating this underworld incubation of this medicine. So all of this is for that. And to finish this up, since we are still in December and I don't want to let it pass, and you would all like to hear from Mary Oliver, because she has titled this poem from White Pine, December. Then the deer stepped from the woods. It walked from the shadows under the trees into a clear space. Antlers sprang from its brow, each with 5 or 6 tines. From the antlers, from each tine, green leaves were growing, as if from the branches of a tree. The deer stood without moving, brutish and graceful as deer alive in the daylight, except that its heavy, elaborate head was carrying upon the usual curvatures of its horns these branches, this fountain of leaves. Then it turned and vanished, in shyness perhaps, or simply because we got no more than such dreamy chances to look upon the real world. The great door opens a crack, a hint of the truth is given. So bright it is almost a death, a joy we can't bear, and then it is gone.